Transparency in local government is very important because transparency builds trust. It's very important today because there are many citizens who come to city council meetings and they feel that there is a lack of transparency. So therefore, they're not able to get behind the initiatives that the present council may be trying to move forth. So the bottom line is our local government must operate with transparency so that our residents can trust the work that they're doing. Along with transparency, being open and accountable are also part of my number one priority. I believe in being open. I must, as the leader, I must model openness in my communication, and I must hold myself accountable. And likewise, I must hold the council accountable. Also, when residents come to the city council meetings and citizens' appearances, and if they're bringing anything that is alarming, in order to hold someone accountable, we must investigate. We must vet the information that is being brought to us. And if we find anything that is outside the realm of what must be with the city council, then we must hold people accountable. That accountability not only must start here with the council and myself, but we must also hold the city manager accountable, and the city manager must also hold his direct employees, and it should trickle down all the way through our local government. I believe taxpayer dollars should be used effectively by prioritizing those things which are important and that are needed for our city. So there may be some things that we may want to do that may be good for the city, but may make us look good as a city. But are those things good for the residents? Are those things that we need? So the bottom line is we must prioritize the things that are necessary for our city to run effectively. Yes, there's one time that really sticks in my mind where I really had to demonstrate accountability in my leadership position. I had an employee that was in charge of a specific program where he was supposed to invite customers only. I wasn't able to be there, but I asked him about the program and to show me some pictures that had been taken. And I saw some individuals that I didn't recognize as customers, and I asked him, who was the physician? And he said, neither, they're my friends. And we continued to look at other pictures, and I saw someone else. And I said, well, who is this? They said, a friend. So I stopped him right there, and I asked him, do you not understand why we give you money to utilize to drive our market share? He said, yeah. I said, then why do you have your friends at a business function? And he said, well, I had the extra room. And I said, well, but is that the policy that we work with? And he said, no. I said, well, obviously you felt like you could do this while you knew it was outside company guidelines. And he said, well, I didn't think it was that big a deal. And I said, it is that big a deal when you're utilizing company money. And I said, if the fact that I have helped you and gotten close to you in the working relationship is why you felt like you could do it, then we're going to have to dial that back a little bit. And then it's just going to be truly a working relationship, because as long as you're employed by this company, you're going to invest the money the way it should be invested and not on people who are not our customers. And if you work to do it again, then I'm going to have to put you on a performance improvement plan. So I told him, so this time I'm going to give you a pass. But if it ever happens again, you will be written up and put on an improvement plan. Ethical leadership is the only way I know how to operate. I've always done it in all of my jobs. And I'm doing it presently right now as I'm serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission as their chairman. I'm always going to be a person that's going to do everything by the book, because we have rules and regulations to guide us, to keep us from getting in trouble. On the council, I would make sure that we do everything according to rules, policies, and procedures. And I'm going to lean very heavily on the attorney to keep us in line. There's no room for us to get outside of the lines of doing things ethically. Because again, if we do not operate ethically, we lose the trust of our citizens. So I'm not only going to model that, I'm going to expect that. And as I had said in a previous question, if there are any signs of things done outside of policy and procedure that are unethical, we will look into them and we will hold people accountable. Public safety means having everything in place that we need to have in place to protect our citizens and our city at large. Cities from criminals. If that means that our police department needs more staff, then we should get that for them. If it's fire department and if they need more vehicles or if they need a fire station, we should make those things happen. We have to do the things that are needed for those departments to do their job effectively. In order to strengthen relationship between law enforcement and the community, it means I've got to get out there. I can't just have a point in time where I'm going to go to the police department because it's Public Safety Day. I need to be visiting with the chief on a regular basis, understanding the obstacles that he has, the issues that he's being confronted with, what are the things that he needs, and to build that working relationship. But while he doesn't report to me, he reports to the city manager, I want to be able to have those types of dialogues. So I want to engage him as well as engage the fire chief, and just understanding and making sure that they have everything that they need to do their jobs right. In order to increase engagement with the community, I need to just have more open door policy where people can make appointments with me, come in and sit down and talk to me, have more opportunities where we have meet and greets to come in, just very relaxed opportunities for people to come in and speak to us. We have to be seen in the community. We have to be approachable when we're also in the community and engage our constituents. Because I believe word of mouth, and when people see that you're really open to them and that you are accessible, they'll really see that there is engagement occurring with our city government. Initiatives to improve community policing. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is we need to get our policemen out in front of the community. We need to create opportunities for them to get to know them. While DeSoto is a little bit more than 56,000 people, I think there are ways for us to allow the community to get to know the policemen. We could find opportunities for them to just stroll down a strip mall and speaking and meeting people, or maybe going to a Walmart parking lot, parking there. That's going to be a deterrent for crime too, but also just getting out and walking and greeting our people. I think when our citizens can get to know the police, they will see them differently. There was one day where I had a brake light was out and I got stopped by one of the local policemen to let me know. And he said, hey, you're not getting a ticket, but I just want you to know that your brake light is out. But the man was so professional. He was so nice. In the stop, I said, what's your name? And he told me what his name was. And I said, I really appreciate the way you handled this stop today, because a lot of people don't like being stopped by policemen and they think the worst. So I want to create those opportunities so people will realize policemen are human too. They're our neighbors, they're our relatives, and that not all policemen are bad. So getting them out in front of the public will also help with that community policing. I have a very good example of that. When I was in corporate America, I got a call from the vice president of the company and he wanted to promote me to area director. And I go, I don't have to interview. He said, no, we think you're the man for the job and we want to bring you over to this side of the business. Well, the people that were going to report to me didn't know me. So I asked and I got him to give me the budget to have a meeting with the new direct reports. And I brought them in order for us to begin building a team, just getting to know each other, but more importantly, allowing them an opportunity to get to know me. So after we did that, I kind of set some ground rules that this is a safe harbor. Whatever you think is important for us to hear, feel comfortable sharing, because what we're getting ready to do is a group effort. It is not one person's effort. So we began to talk about what was our brand going to be? How did we want people to see us? When they saw us, what were the values that they would just spew out that we exemplified? So we started off by first starting out, what is our vision going to be for our team? Then we defined what our mission statement was going to be. Then we decided what are the core principles that we're going to live by? What is the mantra that will drive us or inspire us to deliver results? So I collectively brought everybody together, and I made sure that they understood that what they thought was important, that this is a collective group workshop, and that we're all building our team together. And because of that, when we went to the national meeting and we introduced all of these things, we had such buy-in, which had already occurred with the direct management, but we got buy-in from those individual contributors as well. So to just sum it up, in order to build a good team, is you got to be open and you've got to make them a part of the decisions that are being made. Number one, I think it is to operate ethically. Number two, I think it is to be open to your constituents and your residents, being willing to listen, to respect them, to value the things that they bring to you. I also think it means that you must be transparent. You must not only hold yourself accountable, but you must be able to hold others accountable. You have to be able to separate friendship from business. And if you're elected to mayor, you have to make decisions on what are good for the city, not what's good for you. I think you have to be results driven. You have to want to push through the things that are needed. And more importantly, you've got to be willing to commit the time that's needed to get those things done. And lastly, you've got to be accessible. You have to be accessible to your people, and you have to be accessible to your team in order for you to get the results that your city needs. Number one, I think a mayor needs to model everything that he or she expects. If it's excellence, you model excellence. If it's accountability, you hold yourself accountable so that others expect that you would hold them accountable. If it's transparent, then you must be transparent in your communication. I think a mayor definitely has to be honest. They have to be willing to admit when they've made a mistake and just let the people know, I've made a mistake, and this is how I'm going to do better in the future. I think it's also to operate with integrity so that people will trust you in the decisions that you make. It's being dependable, being reliable, and putting in the time that you may need to do in order to get the results that are needed for the city. But if I were to say the number one thing that I think a leader needs, and that's to be able to listen. You must be open to diversity. Not only diversity in terms of gender, but also diversity in terms of the way people think. You can't shut people down because they think differently than you. It's the differences that make you better. The unity comes from feeling safe in being who you are. And it's going to be very important that the culture that's established from the leadership throughout our government is a culture of inclusiveness. It's a culture of respect. It's a culture that inspires people to be their very best. And I believe that when people understand that you truly desire to hear from them, that you truly desire to have them a part of your team, and that you show respect and openness to the differences, you can't help but grow. So those are the things that I think are going to be important to drive that leadership in the community together with unity. Voters should trust me to lead DeSoto forward because of this. Number one, ever since I volunteered, I've just escalated up. Started at the library board. I've always been open, gave creative ideas and solutions to issues, and then moved on very quickly over to the planning and zoning, where I have been elected up to the chairman of the planning and zoning board. No one is electing a person to a higher level position that they do not trust, that they feel cannot lead or do the job. So you can trust me just based on my history here with the city of DeSoto, volunteered. If you watch any of my planning and zoning meetings, you will see that I treated people fairly, but I also asked the very tough questions that needed to be asked. That when I felt like people were taking advantage of our city, of our ordinances, that I pushed back against them. That I didn't just accept anything that someone said. I peeled down layers and layers through questioning to make sure I was getting honesty. So I believe that you should trust me is because everything that I have done thus far in my volunteering for the city of DeSoto has been to improve the image as well as to improve the way that we conduct business for the city of DeSoto. While you may not know me, I may not have lived here as long as everybody else, I believe that if you search my record, you would see there's no reason for you not to trust me to be the next leader of this great city and to move it forward.